Hello world, Shelly here, and today I'm going to take you guys through the makeup that I brought with me for my nearly 7-week trip to Ireland. Now, of course, when you go to a place where you know you're going to be able to buy more makeup if you happen to forget something, it's a little bit different than if you know you are stuck with what you've got, but I did want to have enough makeup with me that I had flexibility in the looks that I did because I knew I had a couple nights where I had to dress up. We had an opening night of an international film festival, and I also knew that most days I'd be doing kind of an everyday quick version of my makeup, so I wanted to cover all the bases. I didn't want to bring too much of my high-end expensive makeup because with a long flight like that, I didn't want it to get broken in my luggage or lost, and didn't want to have to, should the unthinkable happen and they lose my suitcase with my makeup bag, I didn't want to have to replace it all, so I did tend toward lower end items. And let's just get into it. This is going to be kind of in no particular order because I'm just opening up my makeup bag that I brought with me. But first up, I brought my color switch. This one was just from the dollar store. Maybe this one was from Amazon. I have one in my Amazon shop, which is linked down below, that I've got like 3 of these things, and they are a must-have for me. It minimizes the number of brushes that I need to use because I can switch colors in between eyeshadows without having to pull out a whole different brush. Let's start with foundation. So I ended up having way too many foundation options with me, primarily because when I got to Ireland, they were having a pretty much unprecedented heat wave and dry spell, and I got some sun, which who goes to Ireland expecting to sunburn? I got a little bit of sunburn, even though I was wearing my sunscreen on the daily, but that pretty much within the first week and a half made most of my foundations way too light for me because what I brought was my YSL All Hours. My goal was to try this out in wet, humid conditions to see how it held up. We did not have wet, humid conditions because it was unusual weather and this became way too light for me, so I was not able to wear that while I was there. I also brought my Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation. I did wear this several times. Beautiful foundation. I love this stuff. I've got it in the shade Texel. I have a review of this. I have a review of all of these. I will link them down below if you've missed them. I brought 2 shades of the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Stick, which F4 is the one I ended up wearing most of the time, and even it became too light for me as I got some sun, but love this stick. I think in the future when I travel, I'm only going to bring stick foundations because I also brought my Hourglass Vanish stick. I have this in the shade Shell, and this is, I kind of bought this as the shade that I would have when I was, you know, had a little bit of sun or was self-tanning, and it worked out really well. So most of the days that I did a full face, I was wearing this. I had also brought with me Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue. This is the Tinted Hydrating Gel Cream with SPF 30. I figured it would be good for no makeup days. I have it in the shade Opal, and it worked nicely, but my complaint with this is that, you know, after 6 hours or so, it kind of breaks down and your makeup looks kind of crappy. So, for short days, it was okay. I also brought and wore this every single day, the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This stuff was fantastic for like low makeup days. Also works well with a full face of makeup. I'm in love. I have 2 shades of this. I brought Fair with me. I also have the shade Light, and this was a must-have. While I was there, I purchased the L'Oreal Bonjour Nudista. This is like a BB cream, and I wore this quite a bit. I really enjoyed it. It seems really similar to the, what do they call it, the Lumi line that they've got here in the States. I don't know if you can get this one here in the US, but it seems really similar to the other BB cream that I've got in their luminescent line. Since my foundations were too light for me pretty quickly, while I was there I picked up from Revolution Pro the foundation mixing medium for darkening. I couldn't tell looking at this if it was going to be meant to be used by people with dark skin tones to darken foundations, or if you could just use a tiny bit of this with lighter skin tones and darken any foundation. I only tried it once. It darkened to a really odd undertone that I could not wear having fair skin, but I may have used a little bit too much product. I'm going to try it some more and we will see. It seemed like it was going to be a nice reddish undertone, which is what I tend to like in a foundation, but you know, we will find out. If I have any more better experience with that, I will let you guys know. For primer, of course, I brought my Strivectin Line Blur Factor. For concealer, I brought the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. I have this in shade C3. I used this most of the time. I also brought the Kat Von D Lock-It. I have this in the shade L5 Neutral. This I did use when I had the couple days I did a full-on cake face, and probably wouldn't bother to bring it just for a couple uses next time. I also brought my Age Rewind. I have this in the shade Fair, which is what I use on low makeup days. And then I brought the highlight shade, which I just like to use in general as a highlight. For setting powders, I brought my Maybelline Better Skin, the Super Stay. Did not use this at all. This is the one I was going to carry in my purse with me, and I ended up not even touching it. The one I did use, I have the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder in Fair, and I also used my Laura Geller Balance and Brighten in Porcelain. These did both get used. Also in the primer category, I brought, trying out for the first time, the Laura Geller Spackle Blur Stick. I really liked this. I used it a lot, especially where I've got pores that I like to blur and a little texture I like to blur. I also brought the Becca Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer, and I did use that almost every single day. I only brought 2 blushes, and I could have just brought one. I brought my Milani. This is the Color Harmony Berry Rays, and I do love this blush, but I found that the only one I was reaching for was my good old Wet n Wild Color Icon in Pearlescent Pink. I wore this almost every single day, so I could have been fine with just that. I brought my NYX blush in Taupe, which I use as contour, but I really started using this in my crease of my eye for low makeup days, so I was glad that I brought that with me. I brought 2 highlighters along for the trip, the Maybelline Master Chrome in Molten Rose Gold. Love this one. Didn't use it as often as I used my Physicians Formula Butter Highlight. This is in the shade Pearl. I probably still would bring both of them because they have different undertones to them, and I did use them both, but I used the Physicians Formula a lot more frequently. For brows, I brought my current favorites, the Kat Von D Brow Struck in Walnut, the powder. I also brought the Signature Pencil in Walnut, and pencil is in this mess somewhere, but that's all I brought for defining my brows. For brow gel, I brought the Essence Make Me Brow, and not a huge fan. It doesn't have a whole lot of hold to it, so if I wanted some color without having to take the time to shape my brows, I used this, but, you know, for hold, I just stayed with my mainstay. It doesn't even have labels on it anymore. They've all worn off. My Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel, so wasn't super thrilled with the Make Me Brow. It was fine. It just wasn't great. I like the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Mascara better. Speaking of mascara, I only brought 2. My Urban Decay Perversion, one of my favorites, and I brought the waterproof of the Maybelline Total Temptation. I do not like the waterproof version. I think the original is far better. This formula is really just not the same, at least on my lashes. I did, however, like to have this for my lower lash line on the few days that it did rain, because I do tend to get transfer on mascara on my lower lash line, but only needed one. It was wonderful. Love my Perversion. For eyes, I brought a bunch of my Stila Glitter and Glows. I could have just brought 1 or 2 of them. I did not use a couple of them, and so this I would just bring 1 or 2 next time and leave it at that. I, of course, brought my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. This thing is still, I have not gone through one yet, and it's probably over a year old at this point. I'm sure it's expired, but it still works wonderfully well. I brought a few eyeshadow singles that I really ended up enjoying. One is from Tarte. Now there's new packaging for these, but they still do have the shade. This is Poker Face, and I was using this pretty much on the daily for my low makeup, no makeup makeup. I also really enjoyed having this Super Shock from ColourPop in the shade Frog. It was just good to have as a, why are you focusing over there? Good to have as a sort of highlight shade along with me. They were handy for low makeup days. I brought this Hard Candy trio of shadows that I believe was recommended on Tati's channel. This is the Rose Gold highlighter, and Didn't really like this. Brought a single from CYO, never used it. I brought this bronzing highlighting palette from CYO, and I did use it a couple times, but I would probably leave it behind next time just because I was loving my glam bronze. I purchased this while I was over there from L'Oreal, the La Petite palette, and I don't like it at all. There are no matte transition shades. It's really patchy. The pigmentation was not good at all. This one's going straight in the giveaway bin to go to family members. I brought a quad I had put together from Coastal Scents, which is like this retro. I was sort of mocking up, I think it was originally a MAC palette that I got these colors together from that color scheme and thoroughly enjoyed this, but I only wore this look a couple of times, so probably not worth bringing, but I enjoy those shadows immensely. I also brought from JCat, this was also on Tati's channel, this trio eyeshadow. Didn't really like it. Just, I know, I don't really like drugstore eyeshadows most of the time. Let's get into the pencil collection. Okay. Urban Decay 24/7 Waterline Pencil. I brought my cream colored one and I brought the black one in Legend. Used them a ton. Brought my Physicians Formula Eye Booster 2-in-1 Ultra Black. Used it almost every day. Then, ooh, I got a little contour in here. My NYX Sculpt Liquid Contour. This, I really enjoy the contour shade. I only did a full face a few times, but I was glad I had it with me. I brought a ton of colored eyeliners. All these colored eyeliners. There's my brow pencil. Did not use them. Would have left them all at home. Don't need them. Tried a new eyeliner, the NYX Matte Liquid Liner, and I thoroughly enjoyed this liner. It's a good one. Then lipstick bag. Let's just suffice it to say, I brought way too much lipstick. Most of these are nudes. I did not need all of these. It was kind of obnoxious. Would not bring that many lipsticks again. Now for eyeshadow. I did not bring enough eyeshadow. Well, maybe enough is not the right way to put it. I somehow skipped all of the pinks and purples and mauves and berry tones and did not realize just how much I rely on those shades for my daily looks, and I missed them so much. But what I did have with me, I brought from Bad Habit the After Party palette. This is their sort of neutrals palette. I wore this almost every single day. It just complemented everything else I was wearing. It could wear on its own or I could wear it with colors. I brought the Bad Habit Aftershock palette and only used a shade or two a couple times. I just wasn't doing super colorful eye looks. I brought the Bad Habit Aurora palette, used this one a bunch. This is a dupe for the ABH Prism palette. I love this color story. Same with the Bad Habit Retro Love. This is more of a sort of retro muted color scheme. This one is a dupe for ABH Subculture. But I was just kind of missing my rose shades and my purples. I brought the Lorac Mega Pro 2, which is a pretty much, you know, it's your everyday sort of, you know, your workday kind of stuff, the everyday kind of eye looks. So these were fine, but I was really missing those shades. I would have tried to be a little more careful with the color stories I was bringing with me versus like the outfits and things I was bringing with, so that I could pair them up better than I did. But that is where we are at. Today, my ABH Norvina palette should be arriving. I also put in an order with Hush for a couple more, that Face Candy palette that was sort of the realization of the April Fool's palette that Tarte had posted, that cool blue-toned palette. I ordered that one. That one's coming on Friday. The Urban Decay Born to Run palette is on its way to me, so all of the missing I was doing of eyeshadows resulted in some eyeshadow purchases. I actually came back and ordered a giant haul of makeup using some gift cards that I had been hoarding, so makeup is on the way, more videos are on the way. Ireland was amazing. and I'm glad to be home. And the cats are very glad that I'm home, and that's it. So now I'm going to put all of this makeup away and get to that. Upcoming, I am planning, once I finish putting all this away and finish organizing my vanity, which I just got right before I left, I'm gonna do a makeup room sort of video for you guys and show you guys how I store everything, what my collection looks like at this point. That's coming. You guys have also been asking for a tattoo stories video. I got a new bit of ink while I was gone. Here's a sneak peek. Da, 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 da. I will go into all the stories on those, so a tattoo video is coming up soon. And we will get back into the Friday foundation reviews starting this week, and that's the plan. So thanks a lot for sticking through all those pre-filmed videos and for enjoying the vlogs that I posted while I was gone. I've even gone back and watched them a few times just for the memories, and thanks a lot for hanging out. Thanks a lot for geeking out over makeup with me. I appreciate your time. I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. And as always, take care of each other. Bye-bye.